In this nitty-gritty basics Let's Play live stream, we're going to be playing American Mah Jongg at I Love Maj. I Love Maj has an exercise room that's very helpful for anybody, no matter what your skill level is, because you can practice skills and new strategies. And that effort applies no matter how long you've been playing the game. Today's focus is going to be on testing your instincts. There's an exercise that I highly recommend that I call Charleston Chain Reaction, and you can actually do it at I Love Maj. So that's what we're going to do today. I don't have a presentation, so we're just going to get straight into the game and testing our instincts. I want to say first, though, thank you so much for watching my videos. Thank you for subscribing to my channel and sharing about it with your friends. Also, moderators, thank you for helping monitor chat. Today's format is nitty-gritty, which means no socialization, so we can focus on testing your instincts and mine. So I'm going to go to I Love Maj. We'll share the screen here. Let's see. Welcome, welcome. Hi, Wes, Marilyn, welcome. Okay, let's see. We're going to share the entire screen. And here it is. All right, I Love Maj. So when you first log in, you'll click play and then go to game launchpad. And then you'll see the game launchpad. This is where you play with robots, the full game, or maybe with friends or strangers, what have you. Down below that is the exercise room. And this is where we're going to spend the day, most of the day. I think we'll play probably a couple of games at the very end where we play the whole game throughout, because of the focus of today is testing your instincts. So we're going to use the Charleston practice room. You can also practice making hands. There's a game on here. What hand is that? And also MAHJLIFE. Both of those are really, all three of those exercises are great for learning about the components of the American Mah Jongg hands. We're going to focus in here, Charleston practice. So here's the starting point. We're just going to click start. And so once you're in the exercise room, you're going to be dealt tiles. And if you've been playing the game for any amount of time, even if you're brand new to the game, when you look at tiles, you can see sometimes different ways that you can play the game. You can play really just about anything and make it work. So for example, with these randomly dealt tiles, we have east, west, 1, 2, 5, 8 and bams, pair 5, 2, 6, 7, crack, pair 7, and a 3 dot and a 9 dot. So by looking here, we could easily play consecutive run, 5, 6, 7, 8 of some kind. We could even do maybe a big odd hand, 5, 7, 9, because we have a pair of 5s and a pair of 7s. So the idea with testing your instincts is to look at a dealt hand and then think about the initial strength of the hand, what your starting point is, whether that be multiples. In this case, we have 2, or whether it be a predominant pattern or both. So for example, we could do either big odds, 5, 7, 9, or we could do 5, 6, 7, 8 and use the same tiles, except the 8, of course, but that's the idea. So once you get your dealt hand and determine what the strength is, then you're going to look for 1 or 2 categories to focus on. And we're going to look at 2 different categories just to show this process of testing your instincts. Again, I like to call it Charleston chain reaction, because every time you get a pass, the decisions that you make can impact the next. It's like a chain reaction that occurs with every incoming pass. So we're going to focus on either big odds or consecutive run, plan A, plan B, and we're going to pull these tiles aside and see which would be a good plan A and which would be a good plan B. So plan A will be the strongest potential from the onset, which is where we are right now. And then plan B would be maybe a not so optimal situation. So you can see that we have 7 keepers, whether we play consecutive run, 5, 6, 7, 8, because our multiple is with a 5 and a 7. So we're going to start at 5. Yes, there will be another live stream at 4. Yes, Abigail, we're going to do big hands at 4. Thank you for asking. Let's see. I think that's on my Facebook page. It should be scheduled. Now I'm a little nervous. Let me go look. Okay, now why do I not see it on there? What in the world? February. Why is today not on Facebook? Hold on one second. Let me just edit these two super quick so that there's no confusion, because I wonder why that's doing that. I might have edited that because I was out, I think, on a Monday recently when we had family in town. Okay, so I updated it, I think. Let's just see. Hold on one second. I apologize. I just want to make sure this is right because we are definitely meeting again. Let's see here. Nitty-Gritty today. Yes. All right. It's fixed. So it's correct on Facebook now. And the live streams are already scheduled on YouTube. So Facebook is updated. The live streams for this week are on YouTube. So I think we're good to go now. Thank you for pointing that out. Let me see here. Hold on. All right. Yep. Nitty-Gritty prime time right there. Okay, good. We're good. Okay, so let's get back to chain reactions. So you could see that we could do either 5, 6, 7, 8 of some kind, and I wouldn't pick a hand. We're not going to pick a hand. We're just going to pick whatever category. Yes, I always release videos on Mondays. I'm pretty sure that did happen today because they're scheduled to go out at 9. So there should be a video, but I'll double check. Let me see here. Okay. I'll double check. Okay, Abigail, I will look for that. And if it didn't get published on Facebook, I'll add a link for after this session. So at around 3:30, I'll add a link to the video because I'm pretty sure that a video was published. And you can find it just if you go to my YouTube channel. So hold on. And then we'll get to this chain reaction. Hold on one second. Okay, let's see. 202, 402, 12. All right, I will circle back to that. So let's focus on this. Okay, it's on there. You might have a cache issue on your browser, but it is there. I just checked as far as the event for today. So 4 o'clock, Nitty-Gritty prime time will happen at 4 today. So if you go to the Facebook page, you'll see it, hopefully. If not, right click reload. All right, let's get back to this. Okay, so we're going to play some form of 5, 6, 7, 8 because we have a pair of 5s and a pair of 7s. And when you look at your dealt hand, you don't need to pick a hand. I think one of the most challenging, one of the most challenging habits to break is that urgency and follow through to pick a hand before it's time. Eventually, you're going to need to pick a hand, but you can stay flexible. It's most advantageous to stay flexible by not picking a hand until you're almost forced to. It's better to play a category and gather tiles that can be used in the category. For any hand, you're just going to gather tiles. Then when you run out of discards, so from the right of the joker, we have our discards, because we're focused on big numbers. So we have little numbers to the right. When you run out of discards, that's when you want to look at the hand level and whittle out any weak opportunities. You want to look for strength. Base your decision on the strength of the hand. And until you gather enough tiles to show you where that strength might be at that moment, that is where you want to just be patient and wait as the hand develops. So we're going to count our tiles. So we have 5, 7, 9 with a pair of 5s, pair of 7, and a single 9. So that's 5 tiles. For 5, 6, 7, 8, we have 6, 1 extra tile. Not only that, but consecutive run is far more flexible. We could do 5, 6, 7, 8. We could even go from 5 to 9 because there's one hand in mixed suits that is 5 numbers long. So 5 through 9, we could even maybe do, depending on what we get. That's why you want to stay flexible. So I think for plan A, and you might want to get a piece of paper out and track this. And incidentally, I have a workbook coming up for publish, hopefully later this month. And in this workbook, I have something I'm calling a Charleston chain reaction log. And I thought about showing it to you today, but I'm not sure yet. We'll see. If you're interested in looking at a sneak peek, let me know and I can show it to you. I do have it prepared, but I wasn't sure if I wanted to share it or just wait for it to come out for purchase, but we'll see. So you want to look at your plan A and your plan B. So for plan A, we're going to do consecutive run. Plan B is going to be big odds. And then you want to go through the Charleston, and at the end of the Charleston, you're going to look at, do I have any gaps? Do I have any weaknesses? Do I have discards? And if I have discards, what position would I place myself at as far as in the race to complete my hand compared to other players? So this would be after the Charleston. So we're going to go through all of that. And if you have paper, you can track all that. So for plan A, write down consecutive run. Plan B is going to be big odds. So we're going to work on plan A, consecutive run. And then we'll do the documentation so that we can compare results. When you're testing yourself, it's always good to have measurable results. That's why you want to look for how many weaknesses are there, how many gaps are there, how many discards do I have, because those are measurable results that you can track and then assign value and you can see an outcome. You can actually track your progress by having measurable results. So let's start. We can do 5, 6, 7, 8. So let's pass, let's say a west, a 1, and maybe a 2. Since we have 2 2s, we can break them out to different people. So let's pass east, 1, 2, and we're going to gather 5, 6, 7, 8, no matter what the number is, and maybe even 9s. We'll see. So here we go. First pass. So there's a 7, and we're going to keep it, and we're not going to look at the card. We're not going to pick a hand. We're just going to keep every 5 through 8. 5 through 8, 5 through 9 will also work. We have 3 tiles to pass, so we don't have to look at the card. When you start losing discards, meaning you're replacing them with keepers, you're going to eventually need to look at the card to whittle out more discards. You still won't have to pick a hand, but you're going to whittle out the weaker options. All right, so here we go. Okay, we have a 9 and a 5. So we only have 2 discards. This is when you look at the card, because we only have 2 discards. Then you're going to look at your hand. We're focused on consecutive run, 5, 6, 7, 8. So if we look at what we have here, we have 6, 7, 5, 7, 7, 9, 5. I would just keep, since we're focused on consecutive run, 5 through 8. So I would probably let the 9 crack go and just focus on 5 through 7. Since we're testing our instincts and we're focused on plan A, which is consecutive run. Okay, we got another 5. So then we'll keep on going. I would pass this 1, 2, 9. That's a little bit risky. Let's see. We have 5 bam pair, 6, 7. It'd be really nice if we can get a 6 bam in here. No, we got the 9 dot or 9 crack back. Okay, so let's pass 1, 2, 9. We're getting lots of 9s. Okay, now here I would not pass 2 9s. That's pretty risky. So I would let something go. Let's see if we have 5, 6, 7, 8 of some kind. I'm thinking, let's see, 6, 7, 4. We could do 4, 5, 6, 7 gap hand, 4 bam. We don't have a 4 bam, but we've got to free up a tile. So I'm thinking the 8 bam can go since we have no 6. Either way, we're playing a gap hand. What we might be able to do is keep the 8 and pass the 5 dot. Because really that 5 dot is not helpful without a 4 or a 6 if we're focused on consecutive run. All right, so let's pass. Okay, we ended up with a 7. And we have 3 tiles we can pass. We have 4 discards actually. So let's pass. Let's say 2, 9. 2, 9 dragon. We have 5, 7, 8, 6, 7. Okay, so here we have our results now. 2, let's see here. Here's an 8 crack. So we have 5 bam pung with a 7 and an 8. And then we have a 6 crack and then a 7 crack pung and an 8. We could do some kind of 5, 6, 7, 8. And that would leave us with 3 discards. So I would call this 3 discards with options. If we get a 4 bam, which would be ideal, either 4 bam or 6 bam. So really, these 2 tiles probably can go. So I'd say 5 discards and still with options because we have a gap. We need a 4 bam or a 6 bam. So we could do maybe 4, 5, 6, 7 or 5, 6, 7, 8, second hand down on the right. So we have a hand and it's got a gap. It's got really one gap, either a 4 or a 6. However, we do have a joker that we could maybe use for that gap. So 5, 6 bam, 7 crack, 8 crack. And then there's an option with the 6 crack. So we could maybe use the joker as a 4, 4 bam, 5 bam, 6, 7, and let the 8 go. So technically we have 6 discards. And then as 6 discards with a gap. So I'm just going to pull up, hold on, let me pull up here's a notepad, okay? So we're going to say plan. Let's see, I'm going to open a different document here. Actually, you know what? I'm going to go ahead and share. I'm going to go ahead and share this with you. This is a little sneak peek into the workbook that's coming out. All right. So here is the Charleston. Oh, that's Charleston modeling. I want to go to Charleston chain reaction. So 1 second. Let me go back down. Here we go. All right. So here's the Charleston chain reaction log. The idea here is that you're going to have your plan A and your plan B, and you're going to document the hands that you're considering. or category at the category level if that is the case. Sometimes you'll have a hand that's so strong that it'll show up right at the beginning. You want to count your multiples, the number of gaps, number of weaknesses, and number of discards. And then you're going to give yourself points for your position. The position would be, if you are an underdog, you're going to get 1 point. If you're a contender, 2 points. If you're a front runner, 3 points. And then you're going to take an average to identify where you're consistently at in your position to potentially win the game. So in this case, we're thinking about, I'm just going to put CR, probably hand number 2-2, one way or another, because if we go back to I Love Maj, we're playing 4, 5, 6, 7 bams and cracks, or 5, 6, 7, 8 bams and cracks. So that's our plan A at the moment. And then for plan B, we were thinking of big odds of some kind of big odd hand. So for where we're at right now, we have 2 multiples, 2 pungs, 5 bam, 7 crack. So we would put a 2 there. And then gap, we have 1 gap, either a 4 or a 6. So if we get one or the other, that will fill the gap and we can play that hand out, depending on, of course, what happens at the table. So we're going to say we have 1 gap. And now let's look at the weaknesses. So this would be where if you need a pung and you have only 1. So for example, that 6 crack, that would be a weakness because we have only 1. Same with the 8 crack. So the 7 bam or crack, we could pung or kong. The 5 bam, it is a pung or kong. So I would say whichever way we go with a 4, 5, 6, 7 or 5, 6, 7, 8, we're going to have 2 weaknesses because we have the gap, which is going to be a weakness even if we get a 4 or a 6. And then we have a weakness with either the 6 or the 8. So we're going to call that 2 weaknesses. And then our discards, 6. With 6 discards, we're an underdog, clearly. If you have more than 4 discards, you're an underdog. So we're going to get 1 point for that. So this particular result, we're going to be an underdog. We're going to have to fight hard for this one. Okay, so now here's where the chain reaction testing comes in. We're going to do plan B. And at I Love Maj, you can use the same tiles and do it again with a different focus. And that's what we're going to do. So now that we have documented plan A, we're now going to focus on plan B, which is big odds. So let's see what happens. We're going to say replay, not new, replay. All right, so now we're going to hold big odds, all the big odd tiles here. Let me sort by suit first. So we're going to do big odds, 5, 7, 9 of some kind. We're not going to look at the card. We're just going to gather. Pardon me. We do have odds in general here. We might as well keep the 1 and the 3. So let's break out the 2 and the 8. So now our focus is big odds, 5, 7, 9, probably big odds. So we have a 9 and a 7. That's it. So now we can pass east 2 with a 6. And we'll keep the 9. We still have tiles to pass. So you still don't have to look at the card. Just fight that urge. You don't have to look at the card until you run out of discards, which is where we are now. So we're going to keep going because we have discards. We have mostly big odds. So I would let the little odds go here. So the 1 and the 3 can go because we have 3 multiples with big numbers. So really the little numbers are not going to help us. If you look in the odd category, just the way the tiles are, it's not going to be very helpful. Actually, the 3 dot we might be able to use for that very first hand on the right. 1, 3, 5, 7, 9 in mixed suits, pair 1, Pung 3, Kong 5, different suit, Pung 7, pair 9, third suit. So we do have that, but we have a gap, no 1 dot. So I would still focus on big odds. And we have tiles we can pass. So we can just stop the analysis. Once you have 3 tiles to pass, stop the analysis. And then that way you can help the game continue. And that will be appreciated, especially if you play with people who are more experienced than yourself. All right, so let's pass these and see what we get. No keepers. We have a west, a north, and an 8. Now this I would not pass because passing 2 wins is pretty risky. I think instead we should let one of the 9s go, either the 9 bam or the 9 dot. Probably the 9 dot, since we're not passing an 8 bam with a 9 bam. So you want to mitigate risk. So this is what that would look like if we were to do that. You can see this would be better. It's still a little risky because they're consecutive, but it's the best you can do while still focusing on your hand. Okay, so we have a 9 crack Pung now, and we have 3 tiles to pass. So we still don't have to pick a hand. We can continue to gather. There's a 7. And we have, I would let go of this 1 or 3 dots since we have a Pung of 9 cracks. So we're going to pass 3 dot, west, and a 6. Sometimes you might think, well, why not keep the 6 for 6, 7? Here's 6, 7, 9. There's a gap, no 8. And not only that, but we're trying to focus on a big odd outcome. So I would break it up and keep the focus. If we were not focusing on this, we could maybe keep the 6, but I would break it up because we have a hand in here right now with no gaps. 5, 7, 7, 9, second hand down on the right. And that is much stronger than 6, 7, 8, 9, where we have a gap, no 8 crack. Incidentally, the hand ended up having some potential for consecutive run, like plan A. It's amazing how flexible this game is. You can really make just about anything work. All right, so let's pass. We got a keeper. All right, now let's compare results. So we have a hand with no gaps. 5, 7, 7, 9, Pung Kong, Pung Kong. So we're going to go back to our tracker. Let's see, we need to document the multiples. We have the 5 bam, 7 crack, 9 crack. That's 3 multiples. And we have no gaps for the second hand down on the right. 5, 7, 7, 9 bams and cracks, Pung Kong, Pung Kong. So we can put a 0 in there. Now let's look at, here we can do, let's do odds. ODD, yes, I guess H number 2-2. That's the hand we're working on. So here we have 5, 7, 7, 9, Pung Kong, Pung Kong. We have 1 weakness. We need to Kong the 7 bam. Because we need another 7 bam, I would call that a weakness. That needs to be a Kong. So that's 1 weakness. So we could put a 1 there. And then we're going to look at how many discards we have. I'll use the joker to separate. We have 3 discards. 3. So we'll go back here and write 3 discards. If you have, back to the position, underdog, more than 4, contender, 4, less than 4 would be a front runner. And that you get 3 points for. So clearly the better choice was odds. Even if consecutive run is more flexible, sometimes the tiles just come in to support a different category. And that is where you have to train yourself to follow the trend and leverage strength, which will typically be multiples, like what happened here. The 9 crack is what drove this hand. And then in that very last pass, we fill the gap with the 7, which we would not have known about. So let me know what you think about that. Charleston chain reaction. It's amazing how you can play something completely different with the same tiles. We started with the same tiles. The tiles in the Charleston were a little bit different because we made different decisions, which is why this is called Charleston chain reaction. Okay, so we're going to do this again, and we're going to track it. So right now we have plan B was the better choice. Oh, and also on here, I have onset. I forgot to document our onset and then the outcome. The outcome here is that odds H number 2-2 was clearly the better choice. I mean, in a nutshell, just whatever kind of comment you would want to make for yourself, so that as you review your progress, you can remind yourself why you made that choice. Oh, thanks, Wes. Okay, so we're going to go down here. We're going to do it again, plan A, plan B, but I want to remember to document the onset. So we're going to now go with new tiles. Okay, so we have flower. Let's see, I'm going to move my tracker real quick and go down here to document this. Okay, can you see? Let me just make sure. Okay, I know you can see that now. All right, so the onset, and I'll show you this onset when we get there. So we have a flower, northeast, 1 BAM, 348 BAMs, 1166 in cracks, and then 79 in dots. Okay, so this is how I would do it. And you can abbreviate it however you want. This is how I'm doing it. So I just put an F for flower, NE, 11348 in BAMs, 1166 in cracks, 79 in dots. So that would document the dealt hand. Okay, so now let's go back and let's make some choices. So we have flower northeast. And incidentally, when I get my dealt hand, I arrange it in order, and then I go through that naming of the tiles in my head, because sometimes that naming in your head can give you direction. So just listen as I say this. Flower, northeast, 1 BAM pair, 348, 1 crack pair, 6 crack pair, 7-9. So we have 2 pair of 1s, like numbers. We also have some potential for 6, 7, 8, 9. So I would say 6, 7, 8, 9. We even have some potential for 3, 6, 9, but I think for the sake of time and just focus, we're going to pick an A and a B. So let's say we do 6, 7, 8, 9 for plan A, and then we could do like numbers for plan B. So I'm going to go back to here, and we'll say consecutive run with 6, 7, 8, 9 of some kind. We might even be able to do Winds and Dragons with Winds and Dragons hand number, what is this? 7, the concealed hand. News with opposite numbers, 6 crack, 7 dot. So news northeast with 6, 7, depending on what comes in. And then plan B would be, let's say, like numbers, or we can just say any like number, or like numbers. Probably number, well, we don't even need to say with 1s. Let's just say that. So then you can see with your onset what you started with, and then what you were thinking for plan A and plan B. And one thing that I just want to mention, and using some kind of documentation like this, you can do this exercise at home using I Love Maj and document it just like I'm doing here. And then you can take the results to an instructor and you can show them what you did, and they can look at this and give you some tips and help you grow by pointing out options that maybe you could have potentially used, or maybe see, well, maybe even from the onset you might consider this or that, because we're not going to document every single pass. That we're not going to do here, but we will look at what we started with, what we chose to do, what we ended up with, and focus there. So now let's sort for consecutive run. So we might be able to do news concealed. So let's just keep 6, 7, and 8, 9 for consecutive run. So we'll keep all these tiles here. And then we're going to break up the ones here. So typically I would play the most of my multiples, but we have a big gap, no one dot. With 6, 7, 8, 9, with or without wins, we have options, and it's far more flexible. So what I would probably do is break up the 1 and pass a 3, 4. All right, here we go. So we have a west and a 9. Since it's in our range, 6, 7, 8, 9, I would keep it. However, we have like numbers, and I would not pass like numbers. I don't pass like numbers unless I have a really strong hand, which we don't. We don't, not right now. So I would not pass like numbers. That's just too risky in my opinion. So something has to go. If we're going to play news concealed under Winds and Dragons, we could probably let one of the 9s go. We have a 6 crack pair, 8, 9 in BAMs, 7, 9 in dots. I think I would let the 9 go because we have no 8. At least we have an 8, 9 that we might be able to use if we get a 7 crack or something like that. So let's see what happens. Okay, we got a 7 and a 9, and we have like numbers again. So I would again look at what can we let go of that will still give us options, but not deter us from something that could develop if gaps are filled. I would say because we have 2 gaps between a 6 and the 9 crack, that's what I would let go. We actually have a consecutive run hand in here, 5th hand down on the right, mixed suit Kongs, 6 crack, 7 dot, 8 BAM with a flower. So there is a hand in here with no gaps in consecutive run, and it didn't use the 9. So that may be one way for you to figure out what can I let go of. And again, once you have that 3rd tile, you've got enough tiles to pass, stop the analysis and just table the thought so that you can then be ready to receive the next pass, which could totally change your hand. Okay, we got the 8 BAM, 6 crack. All right, so now, and here's an 8 dot. So we're focused on consecutive run. We have 6, 8 BAM. We have 1 tile to pass. Okay, so if this were my hand, I would give up on the win hand because we have a 6 crack and an 8 BAM paired up. Those are the multiples. With the news concealed hand, we need consecutive multiples, which we don't have. The 8 BAM would be where the strength is here. So I would let a wind go with a 1, and then I would find 1 more tile to pass. So we have a 6 crack pung, 8 BAM pair, and I would say 7 dot we could keep because that would be the 5th hand down on the right, 6, 7, 8 mixed suit Kongs. Another option might be if we were to get, let's say, a 5 crack, we could play 5, 6, 7, 8. So probably if we get a 7 crack, we could play 6, 7 crack, 8, 9. So with those 2 options, I would probably let go of either the 7 dot or the 8 and then start parsing out the wins. So we're going to keep on going. If you're in between, at this stage of the game where you're going to decide whether to keep going in the Charleston or stop. Just because you're in between hands or categories doesn't mean you should stop the Charleston. Instead of straddling either two categories or two hands, it's better to pick the strongest option and continue, because we're going to get up to 12 more tiles. If we stop the Charleston, more likely than not, our opponent across from us will not pass tiles to us in the optional. So we're done. We would be left with 6 tiles. But if we continue, we have the potential to gather up to 12 keepers. So this is why you want to keep going. Whittle out your options. Go with the strongest one you have and keep going. So that's what we're going to do. Keep going. So let's pass, let's say the West, and then maybe the 8 with a 1. Let's see what happens. We got a 7-dot pair. We're going to keep it. Anytime you build another multiple, like what happened here, keep it. And that of course is if you have tiles to pass where you don't have to make a choice, and we can do that. So right there, there's 6, 7, 8 mixed Kongs. Okay, now we have a 9, which is in our range, and we have tiles we can pass. There's another 7, and here's a 9 and an 8. So in the end, we have all 6 through 9. We actually have our original hand, or not original hand, but 5th hand down on the right, 6 crack, 7.8 bam. That looks pretty strong to me. So I would focus on that, and probably, let's see, we could pass 3 tiles. 6, 7, 8, mixed Kongs, no gaps, all multiples except the flower. So here, I would pass either 2 or 3. So I think I would want to give myself the greatest potential of getting another keeper. This is a little bit risky, passing 7, 8, 9, but at least they're in mixed suits. One thing I was thinking, 6, 7, 8, 6, 7, 8. Yeah, I would not. I was thinking maybe keep the 8 dot, because if we get a 5 crack, we could do 5, 6, 7, 8 and use the 8 bam as joker bait, but we have a gap, no 5. So I just would let that go. That's a big gap. That's a pung gap. That's huge. So think about the gaps and the size of that gap, because that creates a big impact in your ability to develop the hand. So here we have a nice strong potential for 5th hand down on the right. So we're going to pass fully with these 3 tiles. Pretty risky, but because we have a well-developed hand, I think it's worth the risk. Okay, so we have 3 discards and joker bait. So we're going to go back to our tracker. We have 3 multiples, 6 crack, 7.8 bam. So here's flower, 6, 6, 6 crack, 7, 7, 7 dot, 8, 8 bam. Let me turn that, unbold it here. And then we have 9 bam pair. So oops, we can call that 9, 9 bam joker bait. And then 3, let's see, what were there? 3 discards. So 3 discards. So with only 3 discards, that makes, so here too, we can say CR hand number 5-2. So you'll come up with your own shorthand, your own abbreviations, whatever makes sense to you. So we have 3 multiples for the hand. We do have joker bait. So we could even say under discards, 3 discards with joker bait, JB, joker bait. No gaps, 1 weakness. No, really, we have 2. We have 2 weaknesses because the flower needs to be a pair. We can't call it. Can't use a joker. That's a weakness. And then the 8 bam needs to be a Kong, and we can't call anything for it, so that would be a weakness. So we have two weaknesses. Since we have 3 discards with joker bait that may or may not work, I would say we would be a contender. I would not put us at a front runner because we have 2 weaknesses and we don't know if that joker bait is going to work or not until we see the game continue. So I would say we would be a contender here. Let's see here. We could do 6, 7, 8, 9 of some kind, I think is what we said, but we do have the potential of hand number 2-2 or let's see, it was 5-2 also with 6, 7, 8, 9. Okay. Winds and Dragons, hand number 7, that went away quick because we paired up the 8. All right, so now let's see if like numbers would come in at all. So we're going to replay and we're going to just see if like numbers develops. I don't remember if we had dragons. I think we did. I don't remember seeing a one dot. Since we have so many discards, I would hold the 6 crack because we have enough discards to get us through the Charleston. Probably we might be able to hold the 6 crack for joker bait. Typically though, holding joker bait during the Charleston is detrimental because it keeps you from being flexible if you don't have this many discards. So try not to think about joker bait during the Charleston. Joker bait typically develops after the game begins when East discards their first tile. So try not to be too distracted with joker bait during the Charleston. If you have lots of discards, you might even consider rethinking your hand. We're trying to prove a point here or just exercise intentionally with like numbers. So we're in kind of a different situation. All right, so we're going to break out the winds and then we'll just parse out the little number, big number, different suits. So here we go. We have we're looking for ones. So let's pass the north with an 8 and then let's say, maybe let's do the 8 dot with a 4 because we want to make sure that we have good tiles for passing safely later. Okay, we got a dragon, and in the like number category, there is a hand with dragons. So we're going to keep that green dragon, and we're going to pass, let's say, the 3 bam. Let's say next with a 7 dot and maybe the 8 bam. We're still able to keep that 6 for later. We don't have any ones still or dragons, so we're going to keep going. So west, let's say with a 7 and an 8. Actually, you know what? I'd probably let a 9 go so we're not stuck with like numbers in our hand. So like if I had the 8 up there, which is equally as risky, we're leaving ourselves with a 7-9-9 for the next pass. If we get keepers, we might need to either break up that joker bait or pass 7-9-9, which I would not do. So I would rather do a 7-9 and leave 7-8-9 in mixed suits for the last pass. Okay, so we got a dragon. Here's another multiple with the 7. Okay, so we're going across now. So let's pass 7-9 with an 8. It's 6 1/2 dozen the other if we keep an 8 or a 6, really. Okay, still no keepers. Here's a 3, 8, 7. So let's pass those. No keepers. Oh, there's a pung now. Clearly this hand wanted to be consecutive because look at where we're at. Okay, so I would pass 3 and probably 8, 9 with a 6. Typically a joker bait is not good if it's a pung because people need more tiles to really have that incentive or that they want an ROI, a return on investment for their exposing an tiles with a joker. If we have 3 and they have 1 and 2 jokers, they're going to be hesitant. So usually a pung as joker bait does not quite work. So I would let 1 go and see what happens. No keepers. So we basically have 2 multiples. So we're going to go back here. So we have 2. We'll just put it like that, 2 multiples there. And then the gaps, we have 2, because we don't have a 1 dot or a white dragon. So we can put that there. And this is getting a little messed up there. Okay, now weaknesses. Yeah, we need 2 flowers, so that's a weakness, plus the 2 gaps. So I'd say 2 weaknesses, because we need a 1 dot and a single white dragon. The gap is already accounted for, so we'll just leave it at 2. And then our number of discards. We have 3 discards plus 2 joker bait. That's a lot. 3 with JB times 2. So if an instructor were to see this, they'd probably say, okay, you have joker bait, you have 3 discards and joker bait times 2. So they would probably think to themselves, what, let's see, they would probably think to themselves, how did you end up with joker bait like that? I mean, to me, that would be an indicator that there needs to be some better decision making. So I would have given up on this hand long ago during the Charleston if this is the way the hand ended up. We saw that it was turning consecutive. Remember, I'm sure you heard me say this hand wanted to be consecutive. So there was a trend to that. And at some point, you may even see that happening and make the switch. So in this case, like numbers is definitely not the way to go. Let's see, that outcome was 1 bam, 1 crack. So that was our onset there. Here was the other outcome, like numbers with 1 1 bam, green dragon, 1 1 crack, red dragon with a flower. And then we have, I don't remember what it was, 6 crack, 7 dot pairs, 6 6, oops, what happened there? Okay, 6 6 dots, 7 7, was that a crack? Dot, 6 6 crack, dot, dots. And then we have 2 3 9 and bams. Okay, so clearly this was the better choice right there. So we have, let's see, for the like number hand, we're clearly an underdog because we have 3 discards plus joker bait, which is 7 tiles. That's terrible. We would be an underdog big time. So just with the average here, we have 2 1s. So that's 2, 3, 4, and then 7. And then basically we have 1, 2, 3, 4. So 7 divided by 4 is 1.75. So we are close to being a contender. Close to being a contender, 1.75. So you basically add up your points and divide it by the number of tries. So plan A, plan B, plan A, plan B, that's 4. So we have 7 points divided by 4 is 1.75. So we're almost a contender. Technically, we're still an underdog because we're not quite a contender. So that's the idea as far as tracking in using measurable methodology so that you can see what kind of decision making you're doing and see your progress. Okay, so we're going to stop with the tracker, and we're just going to do decision making just so that we can dig into the tiles, and we won't go back and forth now. I just wanted to show you one way that you can track those results so that you can measure your progress, and even maybe take it to an instructor and say, here's the kind of decision making that I'm doing. I need help. What do you see here that I can maybe grow from? So that's the idea there, by using some kind of a tracking method. Good goal, 2.5. No, I'd say be a contender or better. Contender or better. I would track how many times you're an underdog. And if you are continually an underdog, I highly recommend that you find an instructor who can coach you and give you some input, maybe watch you play and give you some guidance. If you're continuously a contender, then I think you just need to continue doing what you're doing, continue practicing and learning new strategies and building your skills. And if you're consistently a front runner, then give yourself a pat on the back, keep doing what you're doing, and always be learning. You will always be learning in this game. There are always new things to learn. I'm always seeing new ways to think of the game, new strategies that can be applied to help with new mindset and just a different approach playing the game. So this game gives you that opportunity to always be learning. All right, so let's see. We have new tiles. I don't remember clicking new. I guess I did. Okay, here we go. So we have a flower, northeast, south, 1579 in BAMS, pair 5, pair 9, 8 crack with an 8 dot, and 8 crack and a 1/8 in dots. So when I see this, I immediately saw 579 odds. I would say that would be my plan A, would be odds of some kind. So I would hold the 1 band, the 5, the 7, and the 9. And then I would look briefly to see, okay, what could be my plan B, so that we have something to compare to. We could maybe do 7, 8, 9 consecutive run in the next plan B effort. So plan A is odds, probably big odds, or 1, 3, 5, 7, 9, and 1 suit, the first hand. So this plan B would be 7, 8, 9 consecutive run. All right, so now let's pass 1, 8 with a north. We're focused on odds. We have a dragon. There is an odd hand with the corresponding dragon, 5th hand down under odds, 5th hand down on the right. So let's break out the south, the 2, and the 8. We have a 1. We can keep it, but here we have wins. I would not pass 2 wins. Instead, I would pick a hand. This is where you would pick a hand. If your passes are super risky, that's where you might want to whittle out an option, because right now we have 2 options. The first hand, but we have a gap, no 3. And then the other option is 5, 7, 9 dragon, 4th hand down on the right. It's pretty weak though. We need a 7 band pair, green dragon pair, and a flower pair. That's 3 weaknesses. So if this were me, I think using the joker to fill a gap is better than having a hand with 3 weaknesses. I would let the dragon go and play 1, 3, 5, 7, 9. Even though we have a gap, we have 3 multiples. The multiples is where the strength is. Even if you have a gap, at least we can use a joker to fill it. It's a 6, 1, half dozen the other here, because that 5, 7, 9 dragon hand could work, but there are 3 weaknesses. Let's just see what happens. What we could do is risk it and pass a south. That's the other option. Let's just do this and see what happens. Okay, no keepers. We have tiles we can pass, so we can keep going. Still no keepers. We have a 5-7 here. 5-7 crack, 5-7-9 and bams. Those really don't go together. What we could do maybe is give up on that dragon hand and keep the 5-7, because now we have a hand here with no gaps. 5-7 crack, 7-9 bam, and you can use any number of jokers there. That's the second hand down on the right. So I think I would give up on that dragon hand and keep the 5-7 crack for an option with no gaps, and also any number of jokers can be used. Whereas the 5-7-9 dragon hand, fifth hand down on the right, 3 pair all week. We have only singles. So that's a big, those are big weaknesses there. Okay, so now here's the wins. It seems nobody wants the wins. So let's just continue it. All right, we have a 9 bam. Now we have really this 9 bam for what we currently have, 1, 3, 5, 7, 9 with a gap. We have 5 discards. We'd be an underdog on this one. 5 discards. What we could do is maybe keep the 9 and see if we can get that green dragon back. So let's pass 3 and just see if we can get the green dragon back. No, we did not. So we have 5 discards. Underdog. We're an underdog. Even though we have 3 multiples, we have a gap. And we have a weakness with the 2 weaknesses, really 3 weaknesses, 3 bam, 5 bam, 7. So we would clearly be an underdog on this one. So let's see if consecutive run is better. Just remember that we were an underdog with odds. So we're going to replay, and we're going to focus on consecutive run. We could even maybe keep the 5s and play 5 through 9 if we get the 6 bam and the 8 bam. But I would definitely keep these 8s and break up the wins. And here we have, let's see, I think I would pass the north, break up the north and south and the 1s, and something has to go here. I would probably let one of the 8s go. Okay, so here's an 8. We have a dragon. 1 south with a 2 can go. We don't have to pick a hand. Here's a 6. Okay. Oh, dragon. All right. And there's a 9. All right. So now we need to think about it, because now we have only 1 discard. Look at the 5 through 9 we have. We have 5, 6, 7, 9 in bams, 5 bam pair, 9 bam pair. Then we have an 8 crack, 9 crack. And then this green dragon pair. Green dragon pair. We could maybe do 5, 6 dragon and then break up these multiples. Since we have no 8 bam, let's see, what else could we do? 8, 9 bam, 7, 5, 7, 9. This is where that 5, 7, 9 dragon hand would have come in. Well, let's keep it. 5, 7, 9 dragon. Here's 8, 9 crack. That's pretty risky. Let's see what happens. 9 bam with an 8. 8, 9. All right, now we have to make choices. We have 5 through 9, 9 bam pung. 9 bam pung. I'd go back probably to either 5, 7, 9 dragon, or maybe 6 through 9 concealed. 6 through 9. Let's stick with consecutive, since we're testing our instincts with a consecutive hand. We could play the concealed hand. 6, 7, 8, 9 dragon. 1 weakness with that flower, and then our pairs would be weak as well. Let's see. So we can keep going and pass 5, 8, 9. No keepers. Now here you can do 2 wins or 2 5s. I would do 2 wins before I would do 2 5s. No keepers. And then I'd break up that 5 or send out the 5 here. No keepers. So, oh, we still have 3 to go. Option for, let's say, 7 with, and it's 6 1/2 dozen the other here. It's all going to be risky with that 6 crack. No keepers. So here we have a hand with no gaps. We have 3 weaknesses, 7 bam, 8 bam flower. Those need to be pairs. We have a joker that maybe we can use with the 6 bam. We have 4 discards. So consecutive run in this case was the better choice. And we would be probably, I would say, a contender on this one. So we were an underdog on the first one and a contender on this one. All right, so I just wanted to ask you what you think about Charleston chain reaction. Do you want to do another one, or shall we play with robots and bring it all together and see how we do in gameplay? Let me know what you prefer. Do you want to do another one of these, or do you want to play with a full game? And if you have any, okay, let's play, says Wes. Okay, good exercise. Thank you. Play on, play on. Does that mean play? Okay, we'll play. All right, so here we go. We're going to go up to the game launch pad. We're going to play with robots. All right, everybody says play. And then we're going to play intermediate level right in the middle. You can play with different skill levels. 1, 2, 3, that's increasing intelligence. We're going to play at the intermediate level. So we're going to launch game. Here we go. Full game. All right. So now, whoa, we have 4 flowers. So whatever we do, we're going to use these flowers probably. We have a red dragon, 2 5 in bams, 2 9 in cracks, 5 6 7 9 in dots. With 4 flowers, I would think either like numbers with 2s or like numbers with 5s, like numbers with 9s. 4 flowers. We have 3 tiles to pass here. It's a little bit risky with a 6 7 in dots, but we have options with 2 5 or 9 for like numbers. So when you have no multiples with number tiles, look for like number potential, especially if you have flowers, like in this case. All right, so we hit a 9. So I would keep the 9s and let that drive the hand. I would even keep the dragon, because we could do like numbers with 9s and dragons and then use the flowers for joker bait, which is not ideal in my opinion. I don't think joker bait is ideal for with flowers, because there are 8 of them. Somebody else is likely to have a flower and get it before you. That's my experience anyway. Okay, so we're looking for 9s. There's 1. We're just going to gather and just pass as defensively as you can. That's a little bit risky because we have 4 flowers. We could probably keep that 1 and let the dragon go, because we can leverage these flowers and play the first like number hand. Okay, no keepers there. We do have an 8 9 here. 8 9 9. It's really the only way we can use the 8 is if we maybe switch to the second hand from the bottom under consecutive run. 7 8 crack with pungs of 9s. So let's just keep the 8 and see what happens. We're going to keep going. We've got tiles to pass. Okay, there's a 9 crack. We have a 3 5 5. I would let the 8 go now. That looks really risky, and it is a little bit risky with a 3 and a 5, but we're looking pretty good here for like numbers with 9s. Okay, we have tiles we can pass. I think it's kind of a 6 1 half dozen the other with the 1 dot or the 5. Okay, so I see this is where I would not be focused on joker bait because we have so few discards. It's going to be really hard for us to get the 1 dot all the way to the middle of the middle game, which is the ideal time for joker bait. So I would pass fully. I would not hold joker bait. The reason I'm mentioning this is I played with somebody one time. I won't mention names, but I remember we were playing a 5-player game and I was sitting out. I was better and I saw what they were doing. And I asked later why they kept the joker bait in the Charleston, and they kept it throughout the Charleston, and they had a difficult time passing. And I asked them about it, and I used that as a teaching moment with their permission and said that holding joker bait during the Charleston is not ideal. And even after the Charleston, if you have joker bait with so few tiles, you're better off to break it up and pass fully in the optional, like what we're in this situation right now, because that 1 dot pair is not going to be, it's not going to earn its power. It's not going to build its power until we give the opponents time to gather tiles so that when we discard one of those, they're ready to call it. They're probably not going to be ready at this early stage of the game. So that's why joker bait is typically not good during the Charleston, and it's typically not good even right after the Charleston. You got to almost get through that first wall, or I'm sorry, the second wall, the begin game, before you can start thinking about joker bait, unless you have a lot of discards. And in this case, we don't. I'd rather break it up and get a full pass. See if we can get another 9. So we're going to break it up. We did not get a 9, which is fine, because I don't think we would be able to get that 1 dot all the way to the middle game anyway. So let's just see what happens now. And I would say we are an underdog on this one. No, not an underdog. We're a contender. Maybe even I would say we're a contender because we've got 3 weaknesses or 2 weaknesses. We need a pair and 2 Kongs. So we have 2 pair and a joker. So I would say we have probably 2 weaknesses. So I'd say we're a contender. Let's discard this. Now, if we draw keepers in the first 5 discards or the first 5 picks from the wall, then we might become a front runner. So let's just see if we can get a keeper in the first 5 picks. So we discarded. So there's the first pick. We didn't get in a keeper. So we're hoping to get keepers in the first 5 picks. That would allow us to bump up to front runner. Nope, still no keeper here. I would just let go of the, it really doesn't matter here. Okay, here we go. Okay, now here we could call, and I would, because we have a hand with no gaps. So I would call, Kong, and discard. And I would still say we're a contender because we have weakness. We have 2 weaknesses still. You know, this is our second pick. Let's see. We have 1, 2, 3 rounds of discarding. So that was this is our 4th pick. If we get 1 more keeper, though, I would say we could bump up to front runner. No keeper here. So I would say we're a contender. We need to, we're not ready for it. We have to wait. That might be a good pair for us. I'm going to talk in a minute about position and why it matters and what to do with it. Because right now I'm saying we're a contender, but what does that really mean? And I'll explain that in a few minutes. Okay, we're going to do a joker exchange. And now we'll discard. And I'd say we just jumped up. We probably just jumped up to front runner, I'd say. So that was, you can count how many groups of 4 there are to see how many picks we had. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 picks. So we did get a keeper in the first 5 picks, and we're now a front runner because we can Kong the 9 now and be ready on the 9 bam. However, we're going to have 2 Kongs of 9s. These robots might hoard 9 bam because they'll know we're playing like numbers, probably with 2 Kongs of 9s. Although we could maybe be playing the 4th or 5th hand down under 3-6-9. That has a double Kong hand there. Okay, so let's see how this goes. It'd be better if we can draw that 9. Oh no, it's up here, 9 crack. 9 crack or 9 bam would be awesome for us. If we can get a 9 bam, we'll be ready on a double weight. One or the other could give us a win. Okay, so let's call. We're gonna expose ourselves. Now we're ready to win. Ready to win in before even the middle of the game, 69 tiles remaining. So that was really good. So I'd still say we're a front runner here, but we're waiting on a pair, which is risky. It's risky. We don't need a flower. So now it's just going to be a matter of these robots keeping our 9 because they know what we need probably. Let's hope we can draw it from the wall. This is not an ideal weight for a pair. It's the weakest weight. We don't even we're not even interested in jokers because you can't use a joker with a pair. Okay. Now with a 4 crack pair, or 4 crack Kong ahead of us, Joe, Curtis, they made an exposure after we showed 2 9s like this. If they draw a 9 bam, they might discard it. The player to our left, they might even use it. We don't know what's going on to our right. There it is. I'm surprised. And it came from Joe. Joe's the one who discarded that 9. Mahjong. So we got it. And the player on the left was playing, they were playing 6, 7, 8 of some kind. All right, here we go. We'll play again. All right, now we have flower, west, south, red, white, 3, 7, 9 and bams, 4, 7 and cracks, 2, 6, 9 and dots. So we have no 8, so I wouldn't be focused on 2, 4, 6, 8. We do have some 3, 6, 9 in here, but we also have some 6, 7. So I would probably let the wind go, maybe even a dragon. Focus on number tiles. Okay, so here's a 5, 4, 5, 6, 7. That's what I would focus on. East 1, 4, 5, 6, 7, or 5, 7, 9. 5 through 9. The 3, that can go. Okay, there's an 8 and a 9. So now we have our first multiple with a number tile. Anytime you develop a multiple, reassess. So that's where I would just retarget. 9 dot with a 9 dot pair, I would hold 5, 7, 9 potential and maybe 6, 7, 8, 9. So I'd keep the 6. A 4, 5 all the way up to a 9, not going to happen. So then we have tiles we can pass. And here I might even pass that white dragon to see if we can maybe get a keeper in here. Really, the 6 dot is not very helpful. We could probably keep that dragon and pass the 6 instead. Just mitigate the risk a little bit. Okay, there's a 7 and a 5. So we have far more. Okay, now Agata, the player on the left, They stopped the Charleston, and we're going across. So now we have to make a choice with either big odds or 5, 6, 7, 8, 6, 7, 8, 9, 7, 8, 9. Let's see, 5, 7, 9. We do have a hand in here with no gaps, but it's weak. That would be the 6 hand down under under odds, 4 flowers, 5, 7 crack, pungs of 9s. Or we could play maybe some kind of a big odd hand and let the 8 bam go. Let's just see what happens. I would pass 3. We got a 9 and a 1. Well, that 1 really is not very helpful. All right, so now I think we could maybe keep the white dragon. We do have some potential now for the dragon hand, 4th one down on the right. So let's see how this goes. I would say here we have 2 clear discards, but we have options, lots of options. I would say this 7 bam would be a discard. We could do 5, 7 crack, 9, 9. That would leave us with, let's see, let me just divide this out so we can clearly see what we have to work with. 6 discards, 7 discards, 5, 7 crack, 9, 9, 6 hand down under odds. We would have 6 discards. So we're going to be an underdog. The other option was 5, 7, 9 dragon. 5, 7, 9 dragon. Same thing, 6 discards. 5, 7 crack, 9 bam. Red dragon, 7 bam, 1 dot, 6 discards either way. Okay, so we're an underdog. Okay, so there's a flower. So let's let the red dragon go here. So now that we have a flower, we could maybe play, let's see, maybe we keep that 7. 5 crack, 7 bam, 9 dot, 3rd hand down on the right. We have 1 discard before we have to pick a hand. Here's a little bit of a challenge for us. 2nd white dragon going down. We need a pair. So that hand may go away. One dot. Here's another joker bait situation. It developed in the first or the second wall, but I would rather keep all our 5, 7, 9 tiles for options and let this go. Or what we could do is give up on the 5, 7, 9 dragon hand and keep the 1 in case we get a 3 for 1, 3, 5, 7, 9 and 1 suit. I think I'd rather let it go. We still have a chance to get that white dragon. That would be a pair tile for us if we're playing that, let's see, 4th hand down on the right. Okay, and we don't want that. Oh, there's a exposure with jokers. East, we don't want to hold that. They weren't ready for it. Okay, now they have a 2-3 up, 2-3 pung kong. It's good to keep an eye on exposures. There's a joker up for grabs. 3 jokers up for grabs right now. We don't want wins. Two bam is out right here. Okay, 3rd one. So that now can go. So the big odd dragon hand is off as an option. We might have wanted that fit for the 6th hand down, but we're not ready for it. Pair, pung, pung with a Kong of flowers. Oh, there's a keeper for that hand. That's the first 9 bam out, so we can use jokers. 5, 7, 9, 9 or 5, 7, 7, 9. I would probably let these go at this point. We could maybe do 5 cracks, 7 cracks, 7 dot, 9 dot, second hand down on the right under odds. If the 7, if we can't get that 7 crack, because that's a pair for us for the 6th hand down. Okay, now 1 crack, let that go. It looks like nobody wants ones. We don't want dragons. Oh, east, we don't want to hold on to that. Okay, west is probably hurting at this point because east are going down. They're not ready. All right, now we have, let's let the 1 dot go. Now we do have joker bait with a 7 bam. This player across from us, they might want it. Let's let that go. I mean, we could even switch to 5-7 bam, 7-9, 7-9 and bams with a 5-7 and cracks. Let's just see. 1 crack can go. 53 tiles remaining. We probably should make a choice. We're kind of in between 5-7-7-9 or 5-7-9-9. Flowers are going down. So there's 1, 2, 3, 4 flowers out. We have 2. There's still 2 more. 6 bam. Well, we can let the 49 tiles remaining. I think we should make a choice here. I think we should let the 7 bam go and focus on 5-7-9-9. Oh, because of that 9 bam or 9 dot pung. Oh, nobody wanted the 7. All right, at least we know these should be safe discards. Okay, now 6 bam though, I don't know. It's not out yet. So we're going to discard that next. The 5 dot nobody wanted. It's right here. So let's let that 6 bam go. There's a 9 crack. Okay, now that would be a pung for us. So we're looking at the 6th hand down on the right. It's a little bit risky because we need that 7 crack. That's a big weakness for us. The other thing we were thinking of is 5-7 crack, 7-9 in dots, which we could always resort to. Let's throw the 9 crack. Okay, so now I would probably let that 7 go. We're ready to pung the 9 bam. We still have a weakness here. This is where we would need to make a choice, but we're not ready. Well, no, we could pung. We could pung, but we would need a joker for the 9 dot. Because the player to our left has 2 exposures and we're in the end game at 40 tiles remaining, and we have 1, 2, 3, 5 discards, including flowers, I would not take that. I would either play defense or try to win 5-7-9-9. I would let it go. We're likely going to fold, but then we get a joker. Okay, let's throw, let's see, 7 bam. Now we still have a weakness with this 7, and it's probably in this player's hand over here. Joe Curtis probably has it. We're going to call. Um, we can use this joker for the flowers. A little bit risky to do that in the end game. Oh, that's our tile. Oh, good. Nobody took it. Okay, so nobody took the 7. That's the first one out. So that's good news. Oh, darn. They did have the 7. I wonder why they didn't take it. 5, 6, 7. 5, 6. Why didn't they pung that? I wonder. They have the 7 crack there, and the 7 crack was discarded, and they didn't call it. All right. Anyhow, we were 1 away from ready on that one. So I think we came a long way. It was challenging though because we had this double pung or double pair hand, pair. That's kind of a risky way to go. It's only a 25-point hand, but It's a hard one, I think. 4 flowers with pair, pair. All right. Here we go. Okay, now we have pair east, pair 4. So when you're first playing this game, you're brand new to the game, it's good to just name off the tiles after you sort them. Name them off in your head. Joker, flower, pair east, green, 2 4 bams, 1 4 5 cracks with a pair of 4s, 1 dot, 3 dot. So that way you're listening to yourself call out the tiles to find strength. In this case, our strength is with either the east and the 4 crack. We could do 4 5, 3 4 5 of some kind. We may or may not be able to use the east. But the other thing that I'd like to recommend is once you get to that comfortability with the game, zero in on the multiples and just start there. Don't even go through that naming. Just say, okay, east and 4. Whatever I play, we're going to use the east and the 4 and start there. Just target the multiple. Pull them to the side and keep whatever can support them with your other tiles. Just like that. Okay, so maybe the 3. So here we could do dragon 1 2. Okay, what program are you using to play that shows the discarded tiles and what the other players are doing? This is I Love Maj. What program are you using to play? So that's I Love Maj, MAHJ.com. And then shows the discards and what the other players are doing. Do you mean where you can do hand reading to see the tiles in front of the players where they're discarded? Is that what you're asking about? That's a different platform, which we're going to be playing at later today. But this one, the tiles are discarded in an orderly or in a sequential pattern, or they're subsequently laid down, which is not the way the game is really played. So you cannot identify who discarded what with this discard pattern. So we have to just look at what these robots are exposing. There's no way I can remember who discarded what when they're laid out in chronological order. It's impossible with my memory skills. Some people might be able to do it, but I cannot. Okay, now here we go. 3, 2, 5. Don't think we ever see what other player does until the end of the game. Just showing the discard tiles so you can see what's out there. Okay. We're in the Charleston right now, so there are no discards. Excuse me. So here we have 4 5 paired up, consecutive pairs. I would let the wins go. And somebody here is playing wins, so we want to try to be careful. We do have a hand in here with no gaps. 2 3 4 5. I would still keep the flower though. So I would let the 3 dot go. Okay, now here we have a 6, 4 5 6. Here's tiles that we can pass. Here's a 3 4 2 3 4 4 5 6. Okay, now we're going to continue. West 6, I would let the 4 go. We have a hand in here. We have 2 hands with no gaps. Second hand down on the right, consecutive run, pung kong, 2 bam, 3 bam, 4 5 and cracks. We can also do 4 5 6 1 suit kongs, 5th hand down on the left. So we have 2 hands with no gaps. There are weaknesses though. All right, now here we're getting wins. 4 5 6 with east and west. That's another hand with no gaps. 4 5 6 no gap with east and west. 2 3 4 5. Pung kong. We could even pung the 2, pung the 4, and let's see. No, that's still pretty weak. We need to pass something. So hold on 1 second. Okay. We could play east and west with a run. Second hand down on the right, we have 2 pair, 4, 5. The 6 is supposed to be a Kong, and then pungs of east and west. We could only pung 1. So it's 6 1, half dozen the other. Let's see here. This is the cross pass. It's 6 1, half dozen the other, really. Weaknesses, we have 1, 2, 3 weaknesses with 2, 3, 4, 5. 3 weaknesses there. With 4, 5, 6 flower, we have 1, 2, 3 weaknesses. With east and west, with a run, we have 1, 2 weaknesses. The 6 crack, we could pung 1 of these. That has the fewest weaknesses. So I would play east and west with a run. Let's see if we can get in maybe east or west. There's a west. So now we have 1 weakness. Let's pass 3. There's another keeper. So we have 3 discards and a hand with no gaps, and we have 1 weakness. So I'd say we're a front runner on this one. We are a front runner. Now here, the riskiest tiles for us would be the flowers, unless we switch to 4, 5, 6 with flowers. Let's let the 9 go and think about it. We could switch to 4, 5, 6, but that has 2 weaknesses. I would just wait and see if we get some better, maybe a 6 crack. It'd be ideal to draw a 6 crack. Okay. We want a 6 crack in here. No. Okay. Okay, now there's a joker up for grabs. A Kong West now. That's really not helpful. Okay, 5 bam pung to the left. All right, now here's where we have to make a choice. 4, 5, 6, 1 suit Kong, 5th hand down on under consecutive run. If we Konged that, we would have to throw away a Punga West. And we would not be able to act on anything else. Whereas we could pung the east and build the 6. I think east and west with a run is better. And then we get a flower. We're going to let it go. I think these flowers have to go. We're going to do east and west with a run. If we get a 6 crack, that would be awesome. We're going to let the flowers go. There's our tile. We're not ready. Okay, let's let that go. So one of our tiles is out. We've got a joker, so we're okay at the moment. There's a 6. All right. So now we need to keep an eye on east. It would be ideal to pick an east or maybe a 2 bam. We have an extra west. Okay, let's call. We'll pung. So now we need help with our 6 crack. Let's let the west go. Might make your opponents think, what is she doing? We got the 6. All right. So now we need a joker. So 2 bam is up for grabs. East is up for grabs. Oh, shoot. Someone got it. Okay. Oh, there's a couple jokers up for grabs now. 5.1. 1 is up for grabs. So we have 2, well, 1 over there with the 5 dot and 1 in our east. 2 dot, no. Oh, shoot. Okay, so they got the 5 dot. The east is the only joker up for grabs. We got it. Mahjong. 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 East and west with a run. 4, 5, 6. All right. You did good. We were a front runner on that one. Okay, next we have a pair of 8s. Try to zero in on the multiple and let that drive your decisions. 8 crack pair. With what we have here, I'm thinking 2, 4, 6, 8. We have a lot of 2, 4, 6, 8 in here. We have enough tiles to keep the 7 because we could maybe do some kind of 6, 7, 8. Let's pass 3 dot with a green and a west. Okay, so 6 dot and a 4. Here's a 8, a 7, 7, 8. We have 2 tiles clearly that we can pass. We have only 1, 2, pair 4 here. So it's not gelling. It is not gelling. I think 6, 7, 8 is going to have stronger potential here. We have no 4 crack. You know what we could do though? We could play that second hand down, 2, 4, 6, 8 with 4s. So let's let the 6 and the 7 go. We could do 6, 7, 8 crack with flowers, 5th hand down on the left, or we could do 2, 4, 6, 8 with 4s, 2nd hand down under evens. There's a 4 and a 2. We have 2 tiles to pass, but I would not pass 2 dragons. I would go for 2, 4, 6, 8 with 4s. We have a gap, no 4 crack. That's like single tile for us though. Let's see if we can get a 4 crack. We have a 9 here, there. Clearly, you know what we could do? We could do addition, 4, 4, 8. If the 4 crack doesn't come in, we can do the addition hand, 4, 4, 8. Oh, I would not play that forward. No, I would not do that. Okay, nor would I do it there either. I would pass blind. We don't have a strong enough hand, I think, and I would not pass a flower. Oh, there's an 8 crack. We would need that for that 4, 4, 8 hand. I would pass 3 and probably play 4, 4, 8. Let's see here. We ended up with a lot of evens. Okay, well, let's just keep the 2, 6 for a little bit. If an 8 crack goes down, we might call and make a Kong there. Here's a flower now. I would definitely play 4, 4, 8 now that we have a pair of flowers. This is where you want to keep an eye on the trend and leverage multiples. That multiple just developed. So anytime you develop a new multiple, reassess, whittle down based on strength, which would be pair pung. So 4, 4, 8. We've got 2 pairs of 4s there. We have our pair. All we need are just to build the 4s at this point. So let's let the East go. I would say we're a contender. We have a hand with no gaps, and we have 4 multiples. So I would say we're a contender. We have 4 discards here. No. We don't want wins. Oops. Okay, we'll let that go. There's Joker for grabs over here. We don't want dragons. Okay, pure Kong across from us. We're good there. We need a pair, and we got it. Okay, we don't need big numbers. We're looking for 4s. A flower. I would not hold that. So nobody wanted that 2 dot. That's our tile, but we're not ready. We're going to need a joker there. So we need one joker. That's okay. It's okay to need jokers. That's why they're there. American Mah Jongg, you got to have jokers for what the way the game is designed. Okay, so let's let the 2 crack go. Your tiles are risky, so I try to let them go if I'm not playing a tile with 2s. Oh, nobody wants the 9. Oh, East can go. The 8 bam nobody wanted. The 9 crack nobody wanted. We have joker bait with a 6, which probably can go next. We're at 62 tiles remaining. This is the ideal time for joker bait. So let's let it go now. Nobody wanted it. Oh, here we go. We need to calm. Okay, so we have 3 discards here. The 9 dot hasn't been thrown yet, so we're going to let that go next. So they're doing north and south with dragons. This is the third hand down. Third hand down and wins. No, Mah Jongg. So we got a Mah Jongg over there. All right, let's squeeze in one more. We have 6, 7, 8, 9. 6, 7, 8, 9 pong pong. Okay, now here we have multiples that don't go together, seemingly 1 and 7. The only way we can use those together is to play the first hand 1, 3, 5, 7, 9. So what I would do is I would pull them to the side and then hold the tiles that can be used with it. So, oops, wrong one. Let me see the 3 dot. And then I would look and see what else we could maybe hold on to. 1, 3, maybe the 2, 4. Okay, thanks, Wes. See you at 4. It's going to be good. We're playing big hands. Okay, so let's see. We have a 1, 3, 2, 4. I would keep the 4. Probably 1, 2, 3, 4 has stronger potential. I would probably throw north red, and then we have 7 crack pair, 8, 9 with a 7. 7, 8, 9. 7 dot. I would let the 7 go. Without a 7 bam, that 7 dot's no good, but with an 8, 9, we might be able to do 6, 7, 8, 9 if we get a 6 crack. That's a big if, though. That's a gap. Okay, now we have a 3 dot pair, 5 dot, 3 bam, 2, 3, 4, 5. All right, I would let this go. 7, 8, 9. I'd pass that. That's a bit risky, though. We have 1, 3, 5, 2, 3, 4, 1, 3, 4. I think what I would do here is probably keep that 9, because 7, 8, 9 like that is pretty risky. All right, now here's a 6 and a 3. We have more little numbers. That 6 really is not very helpful. Here's 6, 7, 8, 9, but look at all the 1 through 5 we have. We probably could even do a little odd hand in there. Okay, let's do 6 with an 8, like that. One of each suit. Okay, now here's a 1, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4. We're gonna keep going. We're gonna keep going. Okay, now here, 1, 3 dot, 7, 9 crack. We don't have a 5. I would let that 4 go probably. And then also probably the 3. If we get a 5 bam, we could make that first hand on the right under odds work, 1-3 dot, 5 bam, 7-9 crack. But we could also maybe try 1-3 bam, 3-5 in dots, second hand down on the right, or maybe even the 5th hand down under odds. Since we have a gap, no 5 bam, I would probably let the 7 or the 9 go. Okay, now there's the 4. Here's a 4, and we have tiles we can pass. I would let this dragon go at this point. We have 1, 3, 4, 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1 through 5 of some kind, and I would not pick a hand. Okay, now here we have 2 8s, and I would not pass that. So we can do 1 through 5, 3, 4, 3, 4, 1 bam. I would probably let that go. All right, let's see here. Oh, we ended up getting that 5 bam. All right, that's okay. 3, we can pass fully. Let's just keep that. We could do 1-3 dot, 3-5 bam. There's a 4, and the 1 came back. All right, let's discard the 1 bam. But first, we have, oh, I pulled over the wrong one. Okay, we have 1 through 5. I would not pick a hand. Leveraging the most of our multiples, probably 3, 4, 3, 4. Looks probably the strongest. 6th hand down under consecutive run, 3, 4, 3, 4, and then use the 1 dot as joker bait. I would say we're underdog though, because if we were to play that, we would have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 discards, including joker bait. So that would be 4 discards with joker bait. That would make us an underdog. So we're an underdog. And I was going to explain that what that means is that as an underdog, you just want to take a low risk approach to the game. You want to be really mindful of what your opponents are doing and either try to sabotage their hand or just not discard any risky tiles to them once you figure out maybe what they're playing, which is, I know, a little more advanced than beginners might feel a little intimidated by that task. But it's something to think about. If you're a contender, you can take a little more risk. And if you're a front runner, just play to win regardless of risk. Just go for it. Push to win. That's what the underdog contender front runner means. It tells you the level of risk is relative to your position. Underdog, contender, front runner. Low risk, moderate risk. Don't even bother with risk, just play to win for a front runner. That's how all that kind of comes together. So we're an underdog, which means we need to take a low risk approach until we gain some strength, because your position can change. Just because you come out as a front runner doesn't mean that you can bump up to contender, and then maybe, or if you start out as an underdog like we are, you could bump up to contender and then up to front runner, depending on how well you draw. And right now, we're really not drawing. We have a 3 dot, 3 dot, 1, 3, 5, or 3, 4. Okay, pung to the left. There's a 4, 3, 4. Let's let the 1 go. We do have some potential for the consecutive pair hand, 1, 2, 1, 2, but we have 3, 4, 3, 4. So we'll just keep the 4 for a little bit and see. There's a 3, 4 out there. Probably this 5 can go. 1, 3, 4, 3, 4. I'd probably let the 5 dot go too. 2 dot. Okay, now this, I would change my plan here. 1 through 5. We have now no gaps for the first hand under consecutive run. Maybe we can use the 4 bam as joker bait. Nope, I'm not ready to call that. 3 bam came in. Okay, let's let the 5 bam go. We have 3, 4, 3, 4, and a 4. Okay, now here we have one player with an exposure. This is the first 3 bam. We have a hand with no gaps. 3 discards and joker B. I would call and dig in, and it will put us at a, I think, a contender. We're going to call. So now let's let the 4 crack go. Actually, the flower we do not need, so we're still an underdog. Maybe we're a contender though, because we have 3 discards plus joker bait. Maybe we can, oh shoot, that's our tile. We need a joker there now. I'd say we're an underdog still. Oh, we got a keeper. Kind of goes back and forth. You know, we're right. I'd say we're right in there. We're clipping at the heels of the contenders. Let's just say that. We're nearly a contender. We need one more really good pick. We need help with our 4s. And then we get a 6. I think this flower should go next. We're coming up to the middle of the game after this next pick. Okay, so this next pick will be at 60 tiles, which is the very middle of the game. Okay, let's see. 8 dot was just thrown. So there's nothing we can do right now. We need to gather 4s or jokers. This 8 crack, I think, is available here. Oh. Oh, we need to let this 1 dot go. It hasn't been thrown yet. Okay, so let's see what happens. No. And there goes our tile. So now we need 2 jokers. That's not helpful, but at least it's a safe discard. Oh, we got a Mahjong. Okay, so 6, 7, 8, 9. Wow, these robots love those pung pong hands. Look here to the right. 5, 6, 7, 8. Pung kong, pung kong. Pung kong, pung kong there. On the left, dragons with a year hand. All right, that's going to do it for this live stream. I hope that you enjoyed playing at I Love Maj. If you haven't tried it yet, look for my email in the video description below. Send me an email, or you could always go to my website and click about Mahjong, and then there's a I Love Maj there, and I have my own synopsis of the platform and what I appreciate most about it if you're interested. Otherwise, if you go to I Love Maj, just use MAHJLIFE in the promo code and you can get an additional week in your 3-week trial. Usually you get just 2 weeks, but if you use MAHJLIFE, you can get 3 weeks free. And I am an affiliate partner there. So if you decide to do a paid subscription, I would get a small commission, and I'd be very thankful for your support. Speaking of which, thank you, moderators, for helping monitor chat. I appreciate you. Also, channel members, thank you so much for supporting MAHJLIFE. And I forgot to give a shout out to Candace last week. Thank you for joining as a channel member, and to all channel members. Oops. Yeah. I hope you like that little guy. He's so cute. We need to name him something. All right. That's going to do it. Thank you so much. We'll be back again at 4 p.m. Eastern time for big hands. So if you're a beginner, it may feel a little overwhelming because we're going to play singles and pair hands and quints probably. And we'll talk about some guidelines that I've tested and established for myself and that I'll be sharing. So it might be a little overwhelming for beginners, but intermediate players, come on back. I think you're going to like it. And if we have any advanced players, I think you're going to love it. So I hope you'll be back at 4 p.m. see you in about an hour. Thank you so much. Anybody have any questions? Otherwise, I'll go ahead and sign off. Okay. If you like this video, give me a thumbs up. If you haven't subscribed to my channel, consider subscribing. Click the little gray bell if you do. That way you'll get notification for when I post new videos, and you won't miss an opportunity to learn a new strategy or pick up an insight to the game that could give you an advantage at the table. Between now and the next video, may all your picks be keepers.